Well, in today's session, we will also first start off with, because yesterday we were discussing about the put-away strategies, the different put-away strategies. So we will try to emulate bulk. We had discussed the bulk strategy. We've seen how the bulk strategy configuration is being done. Before that, we have also seen how the put-away strategies are being set, where we are defining it in the system, where we need to maintain it in the product master in EWM. So in today's session, what we will do, we will be first trying to see how a full cycle put-away runs. And from there onwards, we will go into the bulk structure. We'll try to, so we have seen the configuration yesterday. We'll try to create some data for the bulk structure. We'll move on to the pallet storage behavior. And from the pallet storage behavior, we'll move on to the outbound part, outbound strategies. So that is what we are going to cover in today's session. And also we will be discussing about the process-oriented storage control setup in EWM. And so that topic will be again covered, but in the first example that we will see today. So we will see how automatically the system is triggering the warehouse tasks one after the other for the forklift operator to move around the products across the warehouse. Okay, so to start off, we will start off by creating an inbound delivery. So I'm again creating a delivery without any reference. Straight cut, I'm just creating a 561 movement. Select the plant and the S-lock, push in the vendor, and then do a quick check. Everything is okay. The delivery is getting generated. So the delivery got created. So it's ending with 5.6. So now we will open another session. Let this monitor session be open. I'll first show it to you guys in the system over here manually. You guys can practice from an RF perspective as well. Okay. But why I will show you manually, because when we are doing it in RF, we will not be seeing what is the next warehouse task which is in waiting or in pipeline, or what is the next warehouse task that is which is the warehouse task which has already been created, the one which is created and the one which is in waiting. So those things we will not understand, will not see when we are doing it in RF. RF is pure execution. So who is using the RF UI interface? The RF UI interface is being used by actual operators who are operating inside the warehouse, and they are picking the materials or doing the put away or doing internal movements. So only those material handlers are using RF devices, right? So they don't have the visibility of their next task. They just have the current task that they need to do. That is the visibility that they have. Okay. So therefore, for your understanding, we will go through the manual part first. Okay. So over here, we are all familiar now with this transaction, SEWM PRDI. This is the inbound delivery transaction in EWM. And from here onwards, what we will do, we will quickly do the packing. Again, I'm repeating myself, but this is something which you don't need to do. So once the packaging specification is defined for this particular product, automatically the system is going to do the packing. So this is something, since the packaging specification is not defined for this product, therefore we need to do the packing manually. Okay. During the weekend, I'll try to set up some pack specs so that we don't have to do this additional step. So now the handling unit is created. We'll do a quick check whether it's available against the delivery. Yes, it is there. And then now what we will do, we will go ahead to do the goods receipts. Okay. So I'm doing it manually from the system as we discussed. And from here onwards, we will take it ahead for the creation of the warehouse task. So the creation of the warehouse task, you need to go into follow-on functions, click on warehouse task. And since it's a handling unit, so therefore you need to click over here on the handling units tab, and then you would see the handling unit which you need to create the warehouse task. So currently it is in the GR's bin, goods receipt bin, because we've just completed the goods receipt. So from here now we need to push the product ahead for the next steps. So currently the item is over here in the GR zone. Okay. So now what we will do, we'll click on create plus save. So system automatically will create warehouse task based on the put away control indicator and the process oriented control settings. Okay. So click on create plus save. So you can see there are two warehouse tasks at the bottom of the screen. On the bottom left, you will see two warehouse tasks have been created. So if you go inside confirmation now, it will only show the warehouse task which is open. Okay, it will not show the warehouse task which is in waiting. To check that, what you need to do, you can go back and you can click over here, display warehouse tasks. So when you click on display warehouse task, it is just showing you the waiting warehouse task. But if you want to see the open warehouse task as well, what you need to do, you need to just take the delivery and go to the EWM monitor. Now remember this EWM monitor, this is the screen that we will be using more often than not, rather than using the PRDI screen. So let me just, okay, so you can see the delivery over here. So how did we go inside this particular delivery? So we just selected inbound node over here on the left, then documents, then inbound delivery item. So over here, now if you click on warehouse task, so you will see all the warehouse tasks, the open ones and also the waiting ones. So you would see there are two warehouse tasks which are there. So the status B is the one in waiting, and the status with initial or blank is the one which is open. Okay. So now what we need to do, we need to understand what is this warehouse task. So this warehouse task, if you click on the form view, is sending the item from where to where. So the movement of this warehouse task is from the goods receipt bin GRYDI1 to the destination bin QIC-I01. So what we can understand is that this should be a quality inspection storage bin. That means from the goods receipt zone, there is a separate area in the warehouse where the item will be pushed for the quality inspection. Okay. So for this, now if you see, over here, there is a storage process, YINQ, which has come in, and the step which has been determined is YQIS. Okay, so we will look into it. But first, let's try to complete this flow, and then we'll do a rollback and we will see how the system determined all these things. Okay, so now if you see over here, we need to do the confirmation of this warehouse task. So the forklift operator, if it's using an RF gun, he will simply do the confirmation of this warehouse task. So you can do the confirmation from here straight away. Confirm warehouse task in background. Okay. And but we can use the RF as well. So I would, whenever you're doing whenever you're practicing in the system, you can practice both in the Fury application of RF or in the RF UI transaction, or you can do it like this as well. Okay. So people who are new to EWM, they can practice in both ways. So this task is confirmed now. Now that means there should be, what my expectation is that there should be another task which should come up over here. But no, it is not coming up. So what it means is that I have sent the item to the quality inspection center, and the system is expecting me to do now the quality inspection of this particular material. Okay. So to do the quality inspection of this material, what I will do is I will simply first, to make my life more easier, I'll just copy the handling unit number. So you see, this is the transaction. So the transaction is QINSP underscore S4. If you are not using an S4 system, say for example EWM 9.5, which is not on S4, you just need to use QINSP. But if you're using an S4 system, whether it's an embedded or a decentralized system, you need to use the transaction with an underscore and an S4. Okay, so it is SCWM QINSP underscore S4. So now what I will do is I will again copy the handling unit. And I'll paste it over here. And over here, I need to select the work center. So the work center is YQIC. I will execute this. And when I will execute it, it will take me up to this particular landing page. And what it is showing me, it's showing me all the details. And now I need to take the decision. So physically, the quality will be checked, or whatever quality parameters are there. So that will be measured against the handling unit, whether it is sufficing to the set parameters. And then the quality inspection team will take the decision whether to reject the material, whether to accept the material. Okay. So in this scenario, we are just going to simply accept it. So you can see when you click on mass inspection for selected items, then the decision window opens up, and then you click over here. Then if this is rejected, it is R1. Then if it is accepted, it is A1. Okay, so we will select A1 and then the follow-up action, and then you click on trigger follow-up. So when you click on trigger follow-up, basically what it is going to do, it is also going to trigger the next action. Okay. Now the destination handling unit, in some cases, in certain projects or for certain clients, once the quality inspection is done, they will put an extra layer of packaging. say for example, and over there they'll put a small sticker QC checked. So in that case, that means your handling unit number might change and you will generate a new label. But I have not seen a majority of the projects that I have worked in. In most of the projects, they would be retaining the same handling unit number for which they have done the goods receipt as well. Okay, so I'm not going to change that. So what I will do, I will simply use the same handling unit number, and then over here I'll just put in, I'll just enter over here. Okay, so once I do that, the next step that is important is to click on this close HU icon. So once you click on this close HU icon, that is a confirmation that this step is completed. So if you click over here, you can see this step completion is activated, and then you save it. So once you save it, then the next warehouse task will be generated. Okay, so we go back to the EWM monitor screen now to see our next warehouse task. So not till now, I have not yet refreshed it. So this was the warehouse task which we have confirmed for the quality inspection center. And there was this warehouse task which is in waiting, which is the final put away warehouse task. So what I'll do now, so I will just refresh this. Now you see this particular task is in waiting, right? Why so let us check what exactly is over here. The one which is in waiting. So it is this particular warehouse task. If you see, the source storage bin is QIC-01. Okay, that means it is in the quality work center, and the destination bin is this YS0, Y011, and the bin is under that. So let us try to understand what is Y011, the storage type. So if you go to the table, you can simply click on F4 and check it over here as well. So we will keep this open. Y011. So this storage type is a narrow aisle storage type. Okay, so that means it's a very narrow aisle storage type. So what it will do, what the system will do, once I refresh this, because I've completed the quality inspection procedure, if I refresh this, there will be a task which is in waiting again, and this task which was in waiting, it has opened up now. Okay, so if you see, this task was in waiting, and this task has opened up. Okay, so what I will do now, I will simply confirm the warehouse task, this particular warehouse task, and then finally again this one will open up. So if I do the confirmation, then the final put away warehouse task has got activated. So this is now in a blank status. Now if you see, till now the put away status is not yet completed. It's still showing as not started. So once I complete this final warehouse task, which is to put the handling unit or the pallet from the very narrow aisle area, okay, to the final destination storage time. So that is what we need to identify now. Okay, so let us quickly check this one thing. So if you see this, what is this Y001? This Y001 is the handover point. So as we had discussed multiple times, so the very narrow aisle forklifts are different. Okay, so let's say for example, so I'm pushing a forklift over here. Okay, so this forklift cannot come out and move everywhere around the warehouse. It will just move up and down like this within this aisle, because it's a special forklift which is designed to move between very narrow aisles, very flat forklift. Okay, so if you see, the VNA racks will be something like this. So if you see the aisle space, can you guys see my screen, guys? I mean, can you see what I'm sharing right now?
Yeah.
This ninth. Okay.
Yes.
So if you see, this aisle space over here is very narrow. So a normal forklift, if you guys have seen forklifts, so it's like the width is not so narrow. So for this, we require special equipments. So right, so VNA forklift. Yeah, so it looks something like this. If you see over here, you see this doesn't look like a normal forklift, right? This one. So this is how it looks like. So it goes front and back and up and down. It can be manual, it can be automatic as well. What the handover point is what? So the handover point will be somewhere over here in front of these racks. So this guy will pick it up from here from the, let's assume this is the quality work center. Instead of packing work center, let's put it as quality work center. So this guy will pick up the material from here as per the warehouse task, and he will put it over here Y001. And the next warehouse task will be for this guy to come out over here, pick this up, and then do the final put away. Okay. So these are multiple steps. That means from the goods receipt to the final put away, we are doing multiple steps. So the first step was to do goods receipt. Second step is to from the goods receipt, we will pick the material and put it to the quality work center. So from the quality work center, again, we'll pick it up and send it to the handover point. And from the handover point, the VNA lift will come and pick up the materials. Okay. So these are multiple steps that are defined within the system. So how is this automatically getting generated? So we complete a task, automatically the next warehouse task gets created, right? So this is done based on the storage process settings that we have done from a process-oriented storage control process perspective. So what is a process-oriented storage control? So let us quickly go inside the configuration. But before that, let me just complete this warehouse task so that the full cycle is completed. Okay, so the warehouse task is confirmed. And then you can see the put away is also completed for this particular delivery. So that means the handling unit now should be available. So remember in EWM, whenever you complete the activity, so the handling unit suddenly disappears from here, from the delivery. So you need not worry about that. You just click on this execute button over here and it will once again show up. So it will give you the historical handling unit which was used for against this particular inbound delivery. Okay. So let us see the current status of this particular handling unit. So to check it, we'll go to stock and bin, physical stock, and we push in the handling unit number. Okay, so you can see for this particular handling unit, the stock type which has got posted is F2 now. Okay, the stock type which has got posted is F2. So let me quickly check one setup over here. So if you see over here, there is this checkbox which has been activated, right, for mandatory for this particular storage type Y011. So what is specifies that the availability group is mandatory in this storage type. So the use is for this particular configuration, if you put away a stock quantity with a stock type from a different availability group into the storage type, the system automatically performs a posting change for the quantity into the relevant stock type of the mandatory availability group during warehouse task confirmation. Now, what does this mean? That initially, when we were receiving the stock type was not F2. It was not F2 because when we received the stock, we have received it in storage location 171D, and 171D in turn will not be mapped to the same availability group as in this particular so the storage location for this particular stock type. Okay, so let us quickly check that as well. So if you see for 171D, the availability group that is mapped is strip 001. Okay, and 171S, which is the available for sale storage location. So for this particular storage location, the availability group mapped is 002. Now, if you see the availability group which is mapped to this particular storage type, Y011, which is our final destination storage type, put away. So for this, the storage type is, availability group, sorry, is 002. So within 002, the F2 stock type is mapped. But when we initially received it, the receiving was not in the stock type F2. So how do we identify that? So if we go back to the EWM warehouse monitor, okay, so we go back to the same inbound delivery, execute this warehouse task, and we do an ascending sort. I think it's already in an ascending sort. So yeah, so let us go inside this warehouse task. Okay, so I need to set up so that the form view opens there as well. Okay, so over here we have opened up the form view, and let us see what is the stock type for this. Yeah, so this is F1, right? And the final stock that we have received, it is what it is showing as F2, right? So that means this is, if we go over here, so once we do the goods receipt, the stock type is F1. And then once we do the quality inspection, that means once we move into the quality inspection work center, into that particular storage type, the stock type changes to Q3. And once we are done with that, so once it goes from Q3, so once we do it available for sale, then again that particular stock type changes to first F1. And once we do the final put away, from F1 it goes back to F2. Okay, so over here this is the stock type. So if you see, during the final put away, the stock type is still F1. That means initially it was F1, Q3, F1, and then finally when you do the put away, automatically the system does a posting change and it changes it from F1 to F2. Now, if you want to find the exact movements for this particular handling unit, that can also be identified. So what you can do, so you can just copy this handling unit number. So let us just push this handling unit over here. No, sorry, my bad, not over here. Go to documents, handling unit. Okay, where is Mr. Handling Unit over here? Okay, so in case you're searching for the movements of a deleted HU, you can also activate this checkbox. So this HU for us is not deleted, so no need of this. But in case, say for example, the HU has already been goods issued, so obviously once it is goods issued, it will no longer be a part of the system. So you can activate this checkbox, and the system will still show you the movements of those deleted HUs as well. Okay, so if you click on HU history over here, so you will find all the movements which have happened, and the final movement you see is a movement for posting change, right? So if you look into this movement, I mean, for the same warehouse task, it is showing you two lines. Why? Because in the initial line, the stock type would be different, and in the second line, the destination stock type will be different, right? So let us quickly check this. So if you see F1, and from F1, it has changed to F2. Okay, is this concept clear? And how it got triggered? It got triggered from that storage type configuration for this particular checkbox. So it will not do a posting change. So the stock will remain in F1. If I deactivate this, the stock type will remain in F1 after you do the final put away. But I need to remove this availability group as well, because the system will not let me do the put away. Because what happens is that over here, what does this mandatory control? That if you are taking in stock from a different stock type, it will accept it, but it will change the stock type to the stock type which is mapped against this availability. You want the automatic post goods, I mean the stock type, because sometimes what happens, you will, even if you, I mean, if it will give you an error and you want the, I mean, you want a manual check or an additional posting change movement to be triggered manually from the warehouse side. That we have done all the steps now. Please move the stock to F2 and then we will do the final put away. Understood? So I have seen projects where they have done that as well. But if you want the system to automatically do it, yes, both the things need to be maintained. So, but if you want to throw an error also, just as a reminder for the user, you can maintain this and you can deactivate this checkbox. So the system will throw you an error saying that this particular stock type is not permitted within this particular thing. So then the user will understand, okay, so this is an extra thing that I missed it. Now I need to do the posting change from F1 to F2, and then finally I can trigger the put away warehouse task. But I've only seen this in only one project in the projects that I've worked so far. But otherwise, it is most of the time they are activating the posting change automatically. So done. So I will not make any changes over here. Good. So we have covered this. Now, what we need to understand is how this step-by-step thing worked, right? So as I said, we will be again going into the process-oriented control part. So, but let me explain it to you at a high level first of all. So what happens is that all these different activities that I'm performing within the warehouse, so we can define these activities into, we can classify them into different processes, right? And these processes in turn, we can also, because what happens is that when I'm doing inbound for a particular, so if it's like a warehouse, like a fast moving consumer goods, so I'm doing inbound for, say, for example, baby foods, and they require different processes. I'm doing inbound for ice creams, and that particular thing requires different processes. I'm doing inbound for, say, for example, for chocolates and all those things. So they require the processing in a different way. So when I say processing, that means it can be extra layer of packaging, extra layer of labeling, some maybe for ice cream, you need to pack it again into some box, which is like, which will be safe from a cooling perspective. And then you put that box inside the freezer, right? So all those extra layers of activity that you'll be performing before the final put away or the final goods issue. So you will be mapping it in the system so that for the operator, once he completes step one, suppose this is step one, okay, then automatically for him to move it to the quality work center, the next step will be activated. So for the, in terms of the step, what exactly needs to be activated is the warehouse task. So we have seen once we have completed one warehouse task, the next warehouse task is getting opened up. So this is what is actually, in general terms, process-oriented storage control. So in the system, if we go, inside Extended Warehouse Management cross-process settings, and over here you need to go into warehouse task. Okay, this particular config node. So within this, you will find the storage control setup, which comprises of the process-oriented storage control and the layout-oriented storage control. So for the process-oriented storage control, let us first try to just understand this. So you would see the first configuration over here is just what exactly it is. These are the external steps, and these are the internal steps. So these internal steps are the steps provided by SAP. Okay. So what are the internal steps? Counting, then product flow driven. So this is CD. Then unloading, deconsolidation, put away, picking, packing. Staging is preparation for loading. Then loading, actual loading step, quality inspection, value-added services, a VAS pack for kitting. So kitting is a completely different functionality. So what exactly, I mean, at a high level, what from a example perspective, what can we take as kitting? Okay. So you guys have seen, I mean, I'm sure you guys have brought laptops in your life. You've bought laptops, mobile phones, right? So when you see the mobile phone packaging, or I mean, nowadays the items that are included are very less. It is just the charging cable and the handset. But earlier they used to it used to come with an actual charging cable, the charging head, as well as a piece of earphone, right? Wired earphones. So that means in terms of actual SKUs, so what do we have? We have one handset, then we have one wired cable, earphone cable, and then we have a charging head and a charging cable. Okay, so almost we have got 4 items within one final SKU. So that itself is a kit, because it doesn't come, because all these products are manufactured separately, and initially it will be stored separately, and for the final put away you will create a kit. That means you will create that box and finally do the storage, and it will be sold to the customer also like that. So this is one example of kitting. Another example of kitting is which I had actually worked on as well. There are certain specific very expensive tools which are used by super specialist surgeons, and these tools are so expensive that they are taken on rent. Okay, so the hospital will not be buying these tools. They'll put it on rent. They'll just take it whenever Those tools are required for that specific surgery. Okay. And what happens is that, so that toolkit comprises of multiple different tools, different drilling like tools and all those things. Drilling tools are used to drill the skull and all those things. So that kit will be sent to the hospital, and the hospital will be using the toolkit. So whatever items will be used, so those items will be, so that it's like a combination process. But if you just understand from a kitting perspective, that is also a kit. Okay. So whatever items are used are being consumed and goods issued, and that is billed to the customer. And then again, it is being sanitized and sent back, and then again it is re-sanitized in the warehouse. It goes through a work center, and then again the kit is prepared, and then again finally it is being put away in the in its put away storage location. So that is the process. That is not the kitting example. That is just basically you are creating one pick issue for multiple products. You are mixing multiple products into one picking issue. So that will not be a example of kitting. Kitting is where you are selling, if you are selling that like one final product and inside your multiple, it's like a BOM. You know what's a BOM, right? A bill of material. So when you buy a laptop, so by default, the laptop comes along with a charger, right? So without the charger, they will not sell you the single laptop, right? So when you are buying the box comprises of the laptop and the charger. What you're saying, what you're giving an example, I've ordered perfume, I have ordered shampoo, I've ordered whatever, XYZ, any other thing. So all these things are common. These are individual items. They are not part of a BOM, right? So it is not necessary that I need to, whenever I'm ordering perfume, I by default also have to order shampoo. That is not the case, right? But there are nowadays cosmetic companies are selling it as kits. There will be miniature packs, miniature moisturizer, miniature this, that. I mean, if you guys are married, you will know, obviously, or having girlfriends. So whenever you're gifting them, you will know. If you go to any Bath and Body Works or what is it called? Body Shop. So if you go there, so they will be selling those kits. Those are kits, actually, if they're selling it as kits. But if you're ordering individual items and it is packed into the same HU, that is just the big HU. No, that will not be the kitting. One-on-one offer, if you have defined it in the system, I mean, if you have defined it in the system at that point in time, but generally, no, it will not be. I mean, it depends how we handle that. But I don't think we will define, because it's a short-term thing, right? Because creating a kit and setting this up is like you need to do configuration and all those things, right? So, and it requires IT efforts. So the user will not be able to, super user will not be able to create all these process-oriented storage control steps and all these things. So if you are going for a 1+1 offer, so I don't think that will be a part of the, it can be the part of the sales BOM, that wherein that you will have to pick 2 items. So the other item will automatically, the moment you enter, if that is a part of your sales BOM, the other item will automatically come in. But it will not be a part of your kitting structure. So if you see the internal process steps over here, these are things that we generally don't change. Okay, this is not recommended. External steps we can assign to the internal steps, and then we can name it accordingly. If you want to name our Z steps, Z processes, then we can do that. But internal process steps which are there provided over here are not recommended to be changed by SAP. Okay. So after we see the internal process steps, then we go inside process-oriented storage control. So in this, so what we have seen, the first step is external step assignment to the internal step. The next step is external step assignment to the warehouse. Okay. Now over here, you are not only assigning the external step to the warehouse, but you are also defining what exactly is the external step. Okay. So for some steps, which are the final steps in the storage process, so you don't need to define them separately, because that is understood by, if it's a put away step, say for example, over here. Now over here, this is a put away step, and the put away step of external step is YIPW. So for YIPW, you will not find the definition. So over here, when I say definition, what I mean is that for every step, you will define what is the destination storage type, what will be the source storage type, and all these things. Okay. So before you go inside this, before the step, so we need to understand what are the steps assigned to the storage process, and then we will check one by one. Okay. So for the storage process definition over here, it is just you define a process and then you will assign it to the warehouse number. So in our case, it was, I think, YINQ, which was determined. Let us do a quick cross check. Yeah, so if you see, I'm highlighting the column. The storage process that has been determined by the system is YINQ. Okay, so YINQ, let us see what exactly is YINQ. So if you select this and you double click on assign storage process step, so you would see there are two steps, YQIS and YIPW. Okay. So what is YQIS? Let us see that. YIPW is the final put away step, so there will be no definition for that. Okay. So the final put away steps basically works based on the put away strategy that has been maintained, which we saw yesterday. The search sequence and all those things, the bin sorting and all those things. Okay. So what is YQIS? So YQIS will be taking the delivery, the destination to the quality work center. Where will it take it? It will take it to the quality work center, right? So if you see over here, YQIS, and this is exactly where what happened with our warehouse task as well, right? So it took it from the goods receipt zone to the, it took it where to the quality work center. So from the quality work center, so if you see over here, the warehouse process type is mapped Y353. So if you go over here, so this is the step, right? So from here, then the next thing that we did was, once we completed the activity, so the next step which got triggered was to take this item from here to the drop-off point in front of the very narrow aisle over here. Okay, that means I've first taken it over here. So the warehouse operator got a warehouse task instruction. He came over here, then he entered the item details, scanned the HO. He got the item details. He will reach over here, confirm the destination storage bin. So once he confirms the destination storage bin, the quality work center operators or the workers, they will start working on the handling unit. They will take the usage decision, which we have seen. And once the usage decision is taken and the HU is completed, the next warehouse task will be created, which will again be sent to the operator, and this operator will come over here, pick up the material, and then drop it off over here. Okay. So once he drops it off over here for this particular task also, so what has been done? There is a layout-oriented storage control also which has been set up. Okay. So what is the difference between process-oriented storage control and layout-oriented storage control? The layout-oriented storage control always gets called within a process-oriented storage control. Okay, it gets called within a process-oriented storage control, and it is layout-based. It is not process-based. So what we see in this diagram, this is a process doing quality inspection, right? Goods receipt is a process, but moving the item from this quality work center to this intermediate point, is that a process? Are we doing something? No, we are not performing any process over here. This is a layout-oriented roadblock for which we have to create this additional warehouse task. So therefore, it is called layout-oriented storage control. So any intermediate points through which the handling unit needs to pass through, so you can create layout-oriented, you can use layout-oriented storage control for that. Okay. So in order to check that, what we will do, we will just go back. It is not here in this configuration. You just go one step up, you will find layout-oriented storage control process. Okay. So over here, if you see, I think 1710. Okay. So this one, if you see, 351 for us. 1 second. Okay. So over here, you see it is Y011 to Y001, right? So this is the movement which got triggered from the LOSC perspective, right? And this is the setup that you need to do. So the intermediate storage, so from this to this, the intermediate storage type is Y011 and the intermediate storage section is 01OT. So if you check over here, yeah, so this one is the task where it got created from the quality work center to the Y001 storage type. So this is the storage type for what? For this particular drop-off point in front of the very narrow aisle racks. And if you see the setup over here, it is Y011 and 01OT. So over here, the destination section is, that has been determined as 02IN. So it is this one actually, my bad. Okay. And then you have the, so if you see the bin over here, 0010200. So there is a requirement for this as well. So if you see, notice one important thing over here. Okay, for people, I mean, for all of you, this is a question actually. So the question is, what do you think has actually, what do you think over here, which is important from a layout-oriented storage control perspective for the bin master that you need to maintain? In this screen itself, the answer is there. For the layout-oriented storage control to work, there is a master
Storage
data
group.
prerequisite. Yes, correct. So the storage group needs to be maintained over here. So if you have defined bins which are within the intermediate area, and these bins, whenever you're maintaining it, you need to make sure that the storage group is, once it is created, it is mapped to these bins. Okay. So for a storage group creation, again, this is a configuration. Okay. So let me show you that. So if you see over here, define storage groups for layout-oriented storage control. So these are the storage groups which have been created for this warehouse 1710, all these different storage groups. So what I have seen in some of my projects where we have used layout-oriented storage control, so what the users will be requesting is that they have a particular marking area over here. Okay, so it will be marked on the floor. So they want the section exactly, this particular storage group to be maintained exactly like that. So the naming convention also needs to be like that. Okay, but it depends from business to business. So based on these two setup, the LOSC and the POSC setup, you saw all these warehouse tasks were getting created, and then on confirmation, the next warehouse task was getting created. So now, if you see for this warehouse task, this checkbox is activated. Okay, so this checkbox basically controls the automatic warehouse task creation. For this checkbox, the automatic warehouse task creation is not activated. The reason behind that is because for Putaway, the warehouse task will get created only after we do the quality inspection, and then from the quality inspection, as per the layout-oriented storage control, it will move to the intermediate bin, and from the intermediate bin, the final Putaway warehouse task will be created. So it cannot be automatic, but this one gets automatically created the moment we do the goods receipt and click on the warehouse task creation. So the moment we click on warehouse task creation, automatically the system creates the warehouse task for this particular step as well. Okay. So if you see here, what it says is that if you have the selected rules-based checkbox for the storage process, quality inspection, or value-added services, this requires an extra storage process step in your POSC storage control. This step must contain the destination location. Okay. So from a quality inspection perspective and from a value-added service perspective. So for this, in this case, we are using the quality inspection process, right? So, I mean, this particular step, this is for quality inspection, correct? So what we can do is we can just go to inspection rules setup over here, which is maintained over here. So you can go and find that this particular storage process step will be assigned over there. So you can check that when in the maintain inspection rule part. No, so if I disable it, then it because I've already maintained it over there, so it is going to throw me an error. I mean, I will not be able to do both positive and negative scenario. So what I will request you, because you have access to the server, right, Praveen? So just if you get time, just try to run it once, remove this and run it once and tell me that what is your result. Because if I do positive and negative scenarios like this, we'll not be able to complete all the topics, to be honest. So because see, the thing is that over here, you can see the destination is mapped over here, right? So it is not mapped for every step, if you see. Only for this particular step, the destination is mapped. Can you see? It's because this is a quality inspection related mapping, okay? And what it says is that if you go back in, let us go back inside over here. So what it says is that we should go to this particular, so there is a dependency. So can you see the step assigned over here in the QR setup? Yeah, so this mapping is important from that perspective, and but this one is not for the, but this one is also important. So basically, whenever we are, I mean, for the quality inspection, so this is the quality inspection rule or master data that we maintain. So I will have to explain to you how exactly this works when we are covering the quality inspection engine. So today we have used the quality inspection engine in the QI NSP underscore S4 transaction. So that is the quality inspection engine in EWM, using which we can take the usage decision. Okay. But over here, if you see, for that to execute, you also need to maintain this master data. It's just, this transaction is QR setup. Okay. So this is the transaction SCWM QR setup. So over here, you are maintaining the inspection rule. Against the product also you can maintain, or you can maintain as per item type as well, document type as well, as if, I mean, if you want to maintain at a higher level. Okay. So over here, you can see when you're maintaining it, you're maintaining the step also, the step which is assigned to your storage process. So YQIS has been mapped to this inspection rule. Okay, so that is one. So apart from that, now this is how so that is why if you see when you are trying to create any test data for that particular, because the storage process is already assigned, it is calling the storage process, and within the storage process, the different steps are assigned. So it is called creating the warehouse task one after the other. The final put away warehouse task, the destination bin is determined based on the put away strategy that has been maintained, which we have seen yesterday. So today now we are also, what we are going to also try to see, because yesterday we had talked about the bulk storage behavior. So we will check how to identify the bulk storage products, and then quickly we will try to create some data from a bulk storage perspective as well. And we will see whether the system checks or not in terms of the maximum number of handling units. So yesterday we saw that there is a bulk storage control table, right? So I will straight away go to the table. So in the bulk storage control table, the mapping that has been done. So this is 1710. Okay, so over here, you see for this one, this combination, the first combination, storage type is Y041, bin type is YB01, handling unit type is YN01, and the bulk storage indicator is Y1. So if this is the combination, then the stacking that is allowed is 4 layers, and then the number of stacking height is only 1. This is layers and this is height. So that means I can push in 4 HUs only. What we'll try to do, we'll try to create 5 HUs, and we'll try to see whether the system gives us any warning message or error message and how it works, because this is the maximum number of handling units. Now remember, this capacity that is maintained over here, if the capacity check happens, it will only happen for at document level. That means if you're taking the stock through an inbound delivery, only then the capacity check with capacity which is maintained over here will be shown. Otherwise, it will not do any capacity check if you're doing ad hoc movements, even though the maximum capacity over here is 4, and you're trying to do through ad hoc movement 20 HUs, the system will still allow you to do it. It will not do a check over here. So for that check, you need to activate it at the volume and the capacity level of the storage bin or the bin type. Okay. So let us see first for this particular bulk storage indicator, what is the product. So I'll show you guys a shortcut how to do it. So you go to Mat1 and we will see. So the bulk storage indicator over here. So this is already a product, right? So, but I'll quickly show you a shortcut again for this. So the bulk storage indicator, this is the data element. So you click on the values list and click on table fields, enter. Then you select this particular table, SAP APO MAT LWH. So this is the table for the location product for location warehouse. Double click over here, okay? And then you go inside. So once you go inside, you double click on this bulk storage indicator and then just put it as the filter is not equal to blank, execute this, and you get all the products for which the bulk storage indicator has been maintained. Now these products, even if you activate the conversion exit, you will not understand anything because already you can see the conversion exit is being activated. Still, you will not understand anything. Which product exactly is this? So to understand that, just copy this. These are GUI IDs in EWM which are being used, hexadecimal values. So you need to go into another table where the mapping of the product and the product ID is done. So that table is /SAP APO/MATKey. Okay. So over here you enter the product ID. So now out of this, the one that we are going to try is, where did Mr. Product go? Let's take this one itself and go to MyGo. Okay. And then we enter so the quantity that we will take is initially 10 pieces. Rather than that, let's just take 5 pieces. So remember, this is the maximum number of HUs. So the maximum number of handling, the capacity is at the level of handling units. Okay. So it is not on the maximum number of products or the quantity of the product. Again, the handling unit has not been generated because we don't have a. But what we need to do is this time when we are selecting the HU, we need to make sure that the handling unit is having a handling unit type which is mapped in that table so that we can test it properly. Okay, so for that, what I'll do is I will straight cut go to the packing work center. Okay, and over here in the packaging material. So is there an option to give the handling unit type? No, so I'll just straight away give the packaging material type. No, it is, I think it is equal to
Okay.
ERP. Okay, so let us see whether we can use, now what we need is, if we go to the table structure, so we need a packaging material. So because we are trying to hit this, so we will, the packaging material should have handling unit type YN01, right? So what we can do is we can simply select this and check whether this is available. What is the handling unit type for this particular material? So the simplest way you can check that, there is a table as well. I'm not remembering the table right now. So, but otherwise you can just go simply to packaging data. So this is YN02. Okay. So for the bulk storage so the bulk storage indicator in this particular product that we are trying to receive, the one with 40, the bulk storage indicator is Y2. Okay. And the Y2 and Y1. So Y2 is the bulk storage indicator and YN01. So over here, this combination allows 8 handling units. So that means it will still let us maintain it. Okay, so it will still let us do the maintenance because we have just taken in 5. But nevertheless, okay, let me do one thing. But we have already taken in the delivery, right? I could have changed the bulk storage indicator over here. Okay, so 5.8 is the delivery. And then now we will try to again do the packing. Okay, I select the packaging material and the number of frictions would be 5. And then I need to pack the product one by one. Okay. What I will do first is I will copy this over here and then I will click on this one. So this one. Okay, guys. So I think it will take some more time. The reason behind that is I need to now. What I have to do is I have to create quantities which specific to packaging specification, and then 5 handling units will be created. If I try to create it one by one, because what happens is that the moment I save the empty handling units, it will be deleted from the system. So therefore, in order to either I need to do it in a work center, since the goods receipt has not yet been completed, I cannot do it in a packing work center as well. I have to do it through the inbound delivery work center itself. So what I will do is to show you guys this particular example, I will maintain the data and on Monday we will go through this particular scenario, okay, for the bulk structure. So what we will test is we will see whether it is checking the maximum number of handling units which is there in the system or not. Okay, because since there's no pack spec, it's going to be very time consuming for me to create the HUs one by one. So for people who are new to EWM, please don't be again baffled by these questions, because obviously you have a mixed audience. You have people who have got a lot of experience as well in EWM. Some of the questions will be, at a level which will be a bit difficult to understand. But don't worry, we will try to explain it in a very layman terms so that you guys can also understand what exactly is the question and how exactly it's relevant from a business scenario perspective. And later on, I would request, if since you guys are all working for the same organization, if you want to understand a bit further, you can also reach out to, say, for example, Praveen has asked this question and he got the answer, he understood it. But it's not necessary that all of you have also understood it. I can understand that part. So you can reach out to Praveen as well. I think, Praveen, that is fine with you, right? Because all of them don't have the similar experience like you. Okay, so now we go to the storage behavior for pallets. So storage behavior for pallets, as we had discussed yesterday, a little bit. So this is, I had mentioned, right? So this is bin 1, and then the system will create these sections over here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. Now, how does the system understand how many sections it needs to create? And it will create the sections based on the first one. The moment the first put away is done, the next one will be created, and after that, the next one will be created. Like that, it will create 4, in this case, 4 sections. So after that, once you remove it, once you pick it, all the bins with the sections will be automatically deleted as well by the system. Again you do the put away, again the bin with the section will get created. That means bin 001 with bin section. So if you see over here, first is to define the storage bin sections. So the warehouse number, the storage type. So for this warehouse 1710, there is no bin section which has been defined. So I will have to create that data and I will show it to you on Monday. Don't worry. Yeah. So this is where you maintain the storage type, and then you will maintain it for how many levels you want. So you want it for 1 level, and then you want it for how many handling units. So as many handling units as you put, so that many number of sections that will be create it. Okay. And then over here, you need to push in the storage bin type. So after that, you need to maintain the sequence of the numbers, and accordingly, so the system will start creating the bin sections once you start doing the put away. Okay. So once you do the mapping, and these are not that necessarily it's 5 as per to your racking layer. How many layers are there in your rack? How many you want to store in number of handling units in one particular row? So depending on that, you can do the sectioning over here. Okay. And after that, so the sectioning is also based on bin sectioning per storage bin type and handling unit type. Okay. So if you see over here, it is what is maintained is for this particular storage type, this particular bin type and handling unit type, the section is just 1. Okay. So 1, as you can see, what we have maintained for 1 in the previous configuration, we have maintained against that 5 number of handling units and then the positions of those handling units. So accordingly, the system will do the put, when you're doing the put away, the system will be creating those bins accordingly. So bin 001, 01, 02, 03, 04 like this. Okay. But once I show it to you in the system in terms of the test data, it will be more clear for you guys instead of just because this is just basic configuration. How it behaves, I have to actually show it to you in the system. There is no current master data available in this server. For this, I have to create the master data. I will show it to you on Monday. Don't worry, I will create some data during the weekend. Okay. Well, basically, first thing is that if you want to have that kind of micro level of understanding exactly where exactly the pallet is, within a rack. So that is something that you will obviously use. Next is in terms of your the way the stacking is being done. So if you are now once you go into the picking part, and based on the strategy that you select in the picking, you will see today. So what we are using. So in that case, you will understand that, oh, okay, so because this is FIFO, and this is how it is linked, this pallet storage behavior and FIFO. This is FIFO, this is how it is linked, FIFO and pallet storage behavior. Okay. But then again, once I give you guys clear examples like the way I have shown it to you for the inbound delivery process-oriented storage control, then only I think you guys will understand it better. So apart from that, what is there is the flexible bin. So the flexible bin we will be covering during the replenishment and sorting part, this particular storage behavior. Okay. This particular storage behavior you will not see in the older systems. In the 9 series EWM systems, it has only come up from the S4 HANA EWM decentralized and embedded systems. Okay. So this we will be covering during our replenishment and sorting topic coverage. So after that, what we will do is we will straight cut go to the outbound part, and we will be going to the goods issue process. And over here, we will start off with strategies. Okay. So within strategies, you have specify stock removal rule. So this is something additional that you have in outbound, which is not there from an inbound perspective. So in inbound, you don't have, we have the put away control indicator. So even here, we will have the stock removal control indicator, but we don't have a removal rule as in such, right? So let us see what is inside the removal rule. So the removal rules are nothing but like this: first in, first out, first expiry, first out, right? So first, I don't see any first expiry, first out being mapped over here, but you can. I have worked on organizations where they require first expiry, first out, especially products which have got expiry dates or SLED dates. Shelf life is there. So what kind of products have shelf life? Generally consumable items, medical drugs. So these kind of items will have shelf life expiry, right? So if you go in and let us go inside the FIFO rule, let's see what has been maintained. So what has been maintained over here. So how this rule will work. So you can set the fields accordingly over here. Okay. So let's say, for example, I create a new entry. Select entries before performing anything. Okay. 1710 FIFO. So this is done, and within this now I can select the sorting field based on what the system will try to do the picking. So these are the characteristics basically. So if you saw in FIFO, it was the WDATU, which is the goods receipt date, right? This is the goods receipt date. So what I will select for me for FIFO, the first thing should be the shelf life expiry date, which is VFDAT. This is the field, this is the description of the field, VFDAT, okay? And then from here onwards, what I can do, I have got so many other options. See, stock type, empty bin, blah, 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 all these things are there. So you can just go and check what are the options that you want. But after that, for me, I would like to use the goods receipt date. Now this sorting over here, what it means is that which one is preference, which one the system will look into first. So that you can set it up as well. Whether this one you want to put, if you activate descending sort over here, so it will work accordingly then. So descending sort means it will look into when you look into the expiry date, then it will look into the latest expiry date. Okay. And then if you, so it will not be like expiring first. Understood? So it will look into the latest expiry date. So it will be like that. Similarly for goods receipt date as well, if you activate the descending sort. Otherwise, it is by default descending. Okay. So this is where you define the stock removal rule. So once you define the stock removal rule, next is the storage type search sequence. So this is similar like your inbound. Okay. So what you do is you just, now we have defined FIFO. So I'll not be doing that all those step-by-step configuration. I'll leave it up to you guys. We'll just quickly check something over here. So over here, the storage type search sequence is YBLK, and within the same thing, you have the assignment Y041, Y042, and Y052. So this is picking from bulk storage. So that means any outbound delivery which comes in, for that, basically there will be, so this is the storage type search sequence that the system will try to go and search into. First, it will go into Y041, then we go to Y042, and then Y052. It will try to search for stock in these storage types. Okay. Then you have the stock removal control indicator. So the stock removal control indicator over here is it's just a definition in the description. So you will say, for example, over here there is YR02, which is again removal of bulk storage parts. And this stock removal control indicator will be linked with the storage type search sequence and your picking removal rule or the stock removal rule. So you see over here, so you have the warehouse number, right? Whether two-step picking is active. So once we check that particular parameter, so we'll understand. I mean, once we cover wave and two-step picking, then you will understand what exactly it is. Then you will have the mapping of the stock removal control indicator, the warehouse process type, quantity classification, stock type group, hazardous rating, usage, and then you have the stock storage type search sequence and the stock removal rule mapped over here. Okay, so you can see for the bulk part, this is what has been maintained. So what is YNPF stock removal rule? Let us quickly check that. YNPF non-pallet quantity first. Okay, so quantity from available quantity and then the date and time of goods receipt. So these are the two sorting fields which are there inside the stock removal rule. So when the system, so all these rules and storage type search sequence and everything, this comes into the picture when you are trying to create the picking warehouse task. So when the picking warehouse task is getting generated in the backend, from an architecture perspective, I'm saying. So what happens is that the system goes and checks the available quantity table in EWM. and then it does the sorting of that. Once it finds the stock, then it will do the sorting based on these rules that are there. There is an internal sorting table which is created, and then the warehouse task is generated. So this is the sequence. Okay, so you will obviously not see all those things in the foreground when you just click on create warehouse task. That happens in the background within the code. So I'm just explaining to you from an architecture perspective. After you have defined this, you go to optimize access strategies for storage type. So this is similar like your inbound. Okay, and over here you can see that for this particular warehouse, they have maintained these are the check boxes based on which the system will decide whether which particular search sequence to pick. So based on stock removal ID, process type, and then quantity classification. If not available, then process type, then quantity classification. Like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, you will maintain the sequence. This is customizable as per your business requirement. You can do the configuration. Okay. Now, after this, let us try to see how the outbound flow works. We are talking about transportation units and stuff. So there should be some data available for this warehouse. So we will try to replicate that data and see how the how it works, how the information comes in from ECC to EWM. Okay. So let me quickly go to the outbound delivery transaction. So for people who are new, instead of PRDI for inbound, it is PRDO for outbound. Okay. So basically, they have not used the shipment setup, and they have straight cut used the. I mean, they've created the. Let me check this one. This is the internal TU. This should not be the shipment number, but let's see. No, it's not. That means in this current server, so I need to set up everything for you guys to check the, okay, no worries, but I will keep it ready for our yard management part. But let us try to see a simple outbound then in that case. Okay. So I will go over here and I'll go to the items tab. So S4101, so this is the one. So we will see that the select the item, go to reference documents, double click on them, and then you get the sales order number, which is your ECC or S4 sales order number. So we copy this. Yeah, okay, I hope it is OR. Let's see. Sorry, my bad. So this is test demo. Okay. And let's go to incompletion log. Document is complete. Perfect. So this is done. So let me just go to the picking tab. The storage location seems to be correct. Okay, and I create the outbound delivery. And then we go to EWM, again, PRDO. Delivery is distributed, right? Yes, it is showing distributed. That means it got stuck in the queue, is it? No, it's not stuck in the queue. Okay, understood. So for this, what they have done is, so for the outbound part, they have maintained separate delivery document. The document number in EWM is different, 4401. And the ECC, so that's why once I selected outbound delivery order and then I pushed in the document number, it did not, it was not able to find the document number. So when I selected logistics execution delivery, and then I pushed in the ECC document number, at that point in time, it was able to generate the delivery number. Okay. Now let us see whether we can create a shipment as well. I'm not sure whether the server is already set up like this. So there's not even a single shipment which has been created in this server. So therefore, I need to set up everything. So just for an information perspective, what happens is that have you guys? I mean, the EWM guys definitely must have worked, but apart from the people who have worked in EWM, you guys must have got exposure to shipments, right? Have you worked on shipments earlier? Once working in SD, MM. So you know what a shipment contains, right, and what it is used for. So it's basically a cost settlement document which is being used to settle costs between the transporter or the carrying and forwarding agent. And the shipment will be basically created. It can be assigned to multiple deliveries. It can be for different legs. So it is based on how we are doing the shipment planning. And if you have like to organize the shipments, there are different tools that people use in terms of load optimization and route optimization. So there are two things, right? Load optimization and route optimization. So what is route optimization? That suppose I need to send material from Chennai to Kolkata, let's say for example. Now, all the orders that I need to deliver in this route from Chennai to Kolkata, we will try to club those orders within one particular shipment. Okay. And when it comes to load optimization, what is load optimization? This answer is open for everyone. What happens is that whenever we are talking about, so let's assume, so instead of this being a pallet, this is a container. Okay. So what exactly is a container? So the container is where you are going to load your material, right? So since we're talking about the outbound scenario, we'll just talk about loading. Now, how many different, so this is like a very uniform scenario where all the pallets are, all the cartons, all the boxes, all the pallets are of equal size. But generally, it's not like that, right? You will have different products being ordered by the customer, which will be in different packaging materials. It may be different pallet sizes as well. So in that case, what you need to ensure that the container space is being utilized to its optimum level. What I mean by optimum level is that means there is very limited space left when you have completed the loading. Obviously, the second part is that when you are loading it, you need to make sure that if suppose I am loading this part, say for example, well, let me give it a different color, and then I'm loading this part. So this part of the container, which is like towards the end, and suppose this is where the opening of the container is, okay? So this should be the last leg of my delivery. When I'm planning the delivery route, so this should be the deliveries which I'll be doing in Kolkata, say for example. And the first stop from Chennai to Kolkata, say suppose is Bangalore. Okay, please forgive me for my geography, but let's assume that is Bangalore. And then in that case, you will be putting for the first delivery, the loading should be in such a way that the pallets should be in the first stacking over here. So what happens is that the person who is doing the unloading, whether it is the customer side or the driver, it is easier for the driver. It's in a uniform manner. Otherwise, if suppose by any chance the load optimization did not work and the route optimization did not work, and the pallet which should be delivered in Bangalore has reached in the end of the container. So what will happen? So the driver has to get down, unload everything, and then unload this and again load everything back up, which is a very tedious task, right? And we are talking about pallets. It's pallets means those are the weight and size is huge. It's not like small boxes. So therefore, you need to do route optimization and you need to do load optimization. These all work on the calculations, master data, weight, dimension, height of the pallet, weight, dimension, height of the product. All these things are taken into consideration. There are multiple third-party optimizing tools that can be integrated with EWM. I've worked on projects where they have used uh, completely different third-party tools, and also on projects where they've used Leo. I don't know whether you've heard about Leo. Have you guys heard about Leo? So directly from an EWM perspective, there is I don't think there is a direct load optimizer tool which is available, but you have the option of integrating it. Okay. So what I'm talking when I say Leo, so for Leo there are standard transactions actually available. It's a third-party tool. It gets called. I mean, the information gets called in through RFCs. So for any load optimizer that you are using, again, what is going to be used is geocoding. Again, geocoding will happen. Why geocoding happens is because it will show you a simulated diagram of the container. Not this is like a very basic diagram. It actually shows you the container diagram from top, a 3D diagram, and it will show you how the pallet should be placed. If you get a chance to see that tool, it's very interesting actually. It exactly shows this pallet should be placed where, this pallet should be placed where, in different colors, not like this 2D diagram.